or otherwise in convening this national conference, have observed that there are some Nigerians who believe that nothing good can come from this conference. This thought might have its origin from non-involvement of this set of people in the conference. Perhaps if they have been given the opportunity, their thinking might have been different. While in some other cases, the thought could be based on the way which our leaders have been handling national issues. Whatever the case may be, I'll implore all delegates to this historic conference to understand that Nigerians and in fact the entire world are waiting, and they are watching and they are waiting for the outcome of this conference. Having said that, I wish to speak on two areas of the numerous issues before us. One is the Nigerian economy and corruption. As we are talking now, the 2014 national budget is undergoing panel beating. It should be noted that this approach is far from being ideal. And it's also a common knowledge that our economy is, in practical terms, far from what the handlers are really painting. Fellow delegates, if for several years we have been operating Bretton Woods institutions directed economy, which had not worked for us, and I will at this juncture advise that we try Aba, Kano, Oyigbo, or Area markets approach, in which case we should engage the market women and men leaders to assist the nation by bringing their experts to help us fix our economy. On the issue of corruption, I have observed that corruption in Nigeria has no tribal marks. In fact, it has been and has continued to be the unifying force that unites our leaders regardless of where they come from. There is no need dissipating energies on lamenting over the damaging effect of this monster. Rather, I would suggest that we call a national conference of those who had robbed this nation blind to this center of periphery where we are now. We should plead with them rather to return substantial part of what they had stolen, especially the money stashed away in foreign banks, which at any rate is not useful to them or to the citizens of Nigeria. Is a situation of olegba, meaning that robbers have robbed and robbers is now keeping Then we now have to advise them to release this money, and we now have to call on bringing 50 honest and trustworthy Nigerians to manage
wind up, Mr. Speaker.
Fixing our comatose health, power, energy, and education sector. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Olajide Dr. Kunle.
Mr. Chairman, distinguished delegates, my name, Dr. Kunle Olajide, elder statesman from Ekiti. I very sincerely commend the courage of His Excellency President for convoking this conference. The President's address is a direct call to the patriotic instincts of the delegates and this conference and to all Nigerians. Our President has challenged us to do a SWOT analysis on the state of the Nigerian nation today. SWOT analysis, our strengths, our weaknesses, our opportunities, and the threats to our existence as a nation. Of course, our strengths include our diversity, our population, qualitative population, which gives us a lot of opportunities. Weaknesses, the structure of this country is a major source of weakness for us. The forms and system of government and the civil security apparatus. The three have conspired to rob Nigerians of our humanity. Nigerians are no longer alarmed when they take newspapers and read 200 people slaughtered somewhere, 100 school children murdered. We just gloss over it. The system of government has robbed us of our humanity. This government we run today in Nigeria, Mr. Chairman, in my opinion, is the government of the elite, by the elite, for the elite. And we are being called upon to restore the governance of this country and the wealth of this nation to the people of Nigeria because it belongs to them. So I'm going to concentrate on the weaknesses. I want to humbly suggest when we go into committee section, we must address this structure. 37 state structure, so to say, cannot be sustained. So I support going back to regionalism between 6 and 12 regions. The former system of government, in my own humble opinion, what we run now mandates corruption. It in fact compels corruption. It is what is servicing the rapacious greed of our leadership elite. So we must change. I must advise that we change this system. Let us go back to a presidential system or a modified, perhaps if we can modify the presidential system and take the good ones from the parliamentary. But I support parliamentary system. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, what are the threats to our continued existence as a nation? Youth unemployment, the insurgency, and the do-or-die politics that we play, because political offices are very juicy. So this is why a lot of people want to die rather than live because of political office. So we must address youth unemployment. But I can't beat my chest that the moment we solve the structural problems, the form of system of government, corruption will be reduced to the minimum. I thank the managers of this conference for the way they have been managing us. And from this part of the hall, Mr. Chairman, we have made some appointments. Alhaji Njida will now become the Secretary General of Afenifere. Prince Njemase will take over as the President of the Joint National Council. My humble self will succeed my friend Gary as the President General of Ohanese. And in the spirit of the affirmation, Barrister Bisi Olateru Olagbegi will take over from Alhaji Kumasi as the Chairman of the Arewa Consultative Forum. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much for that beautiful conclusion of our address. Olatubora, Barrister Remi.
Mr. Chairman, sir, my name is Remi Olatubora. I'm a lawyer and a student of jurisprudence. I'm a delegate representing Ondo State. Mr. Chairman, with all due respect, let me draw the attention of this Honorable August Assembly to page 11 and 12 of this presidential address. And let me particularly refer, Mr. Chairman, to the last 3 lines of our brief. Mr. Chairman, we are called upon here as an extraordinary assembly to make recommendations on issues that are listed in pages 16 and 17. And in the last 3 lines of page 11, running to page 12, the President has given us the responsibility to strive and ensure that all our recommendations are given legal and constitutional backing. Mr. Chairman, that responsibility, in my view, Mr. Chairman, defines the plenitude of the power of this assembly and the historical responsibility given to this assembly. Mr. Chairman, it is possible and it is historically valid that a sitting president or a sitting executive of any country, be it monarchical, be it democratic, can challenge the very legal order that brought his office into existence and demand for reform, as the President has done. I have done little research, Mr. President, and I have found about 35 parallel historical antecedents to the speech of President Jonathan on this particular speech. Number one, Mr. Chairman, in Sweden, the kind of speech given and the kind of power and extraordinary responsibility bestowed on this assembly happened in 1772, precisely in August 19, under the reign of King Gustav III. Number two, Mr. Chairman, under the First Brazilian Republic, President Deodoro da Fonseca, in November 3, 1891, also enacted an antecedent for what President Jonathan has done. In Austria, Chancellor Egobert Dollfuss, in May 1st, 1934, also enacted an antecedent, or precedent, as lawyers will call it, for the speech of Mr. President. Mr. Chairman, we are here today saddled with the historical responsibility of making recommendations on very vital issues that will go to address and find solution to the structure of the Federal Republic. Mr. Chairman, our generation must rise up to the responsibility that history has bestowed on us.
Your time is up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for this opportunity.
Thank you very much. Olawale Ajani James.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Other distinguished delegates, my name is Ajani Olawale James, not Olawale Ajani James. I represent the National Youth Council of Nigeria as a delegate at this conference. Mr. Chairman, I join others speaker to appreciate Mr. President for convoking this timely national conference of the people of Nigeria. The difference between this conference and previous ones, the most recent with the 2005 Political Reform Conference, is that the convener of this conference, Mr. President, clearly stated during his inaugural speech that he has no agenda on the 17th of March. Mr. Chairman, the speech no doubt revealed issues that the nation, which was one of the reasons for the convocation of the conference. The speech of Mr. President is another open letter to Nigerians, most especially the delegates to this conference, and I think it is something that needs to be produced and circulated beyond this conference. I want to read from page 7 of that particular speech, where Mr. President said that where he emphasized the nation building is a journey of dedication, diligence, perseverance. And he said to be successful, nation builders must continually strive to evolve better and more inclusive society. The question is, how can young people be dedicated? How can young people continue to persevere when the state has not provided anything for them? 90% of previous speakers have been hammering on challenges of unemployment. But the question here also is that some of us have served as former governors, as speakers and so on. What have we done to support, to create employment for young people in this country? I want to quickly talk about our national anthem that was abolished in 1978, though I wasn't around that time. But I read it and it says, Nigeria we hail thee, our own dear native land, though tribe and tongues may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigeria all are proud to serve our sovereign motherland. Our tongues are different, and that is why we have over 250 ethnic groups. The second stanza also says, our flag shall be a symbol that truth and justice reign in peace or battle honor. And this we count as gain to hand on to our children a banner without stain. What our elders handing over to us. Bitterness, and that is what we also experienced yesterday.
Please wind up.
I'm doing that, sir. Where our referred emir had to call our respected leader that is ranting. The conclusions are, he said, O God of all creation, grant this our noble request. Help us to build a nation where no man is oppressed. Nigeria has turned to be a country where we have been oppressed. Most especially, that is why we are convoking this conference. I want to say that our pledge to be faithful, loyal, and honest is very important. Our leaders need to be faithful, they need to be loyal, and they need to be honest. And if they serve Nigeria with all their strength, not their strength to loot our resources, but to defend the unity of this country.
Please be landing now.
So help me God. I conclude by saying that when you build the youth will maintain the elders. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Olawale, Right Honorable Abdussalam Taofig.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to use this opportunity to correct my name. The name is Abdussalam Taofig Olawale. Mr. Chairman, I want to join other people who have commented on the speech of the President, which I call a masterpiece, or to be gender sensitive to say mistress piece. Because every page or pages of the speech contain one name or the other. Aside from the speech, sir, today happens to be a special day in my life. I'm adding a year to my age, and the Secretariat has promised to give everybody free lunch today. Thank you, sir. Mr. Chairman, when we talk, people have been talking about marginalization. We are talking in terms of marginalization as relating to the central government. We've failed to talk about the state. The marginalization in the states are very, very worse than the central government. In every state of this country, every segment in that state are being marginalized. Marginalization in terms of power, because I, from this one part of the state, because I'm the governor or I'm in power, I will want to satisfy people in that area better than people in the other area. Probably I'm a governor, I want to make my brother the chief of staff or a commissioner in charge of finance, or even appoint my in-law or everybody that are very close to me as commissioner or as appointed of government. That is marginalization. What we call a situation where most of the governors are budgeting 500, 1 billion as security votes, where we have primary schools which buildings are in state of dilapidation that animals cannot even live there. I think this is time for us to make it a mandate or a constitution that the issue of the term security vote should be abolished in all states of federation, because it is one way area of giving corruption a legal name, as far as I'm concerned. Mr. Speaker, education in Nigeria is dead. Education in Nigeria was destroyed between the 80s and 90s. And we do refer to some of our leaders that are part of the stakeholder who destroyed education in Nigeria between 80s and 90s. It's so sad that these days you see mommies and daddy giving money or induce teachers in primary school to give marks to their kids. And when you have those kids in secondary school, in university, you know the kind of education you are giving to them, right from their cradles. We need to do something as far as that one is concerned. My Lord, the largest employer of job or labor in Nigeria is agriculture. There should be a policy as far as agriculture is concerned. And I'm using this opportunity that in terms of committee, there should be a committee on education.
Please wind up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There should be a committee on education, youth empowerment, and sport, because sport is another area we can employ our youth. And there should be a special committee on agriculture, so that in those two areas, sir, we can have a special policy that the federal government will use in sanitize the unemployed situation in Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Olejeme, Mrs. Ngozi.
Mr. Chairman, my name is Mrs. Ngozi Olejeme. I'm a federal government delegate. I wish to join other delegates in commending and congratulating President Ebele Goodluck Jonathan for his wonderful inaugural speech. Mr. President's speech highlighted fundamental issues, including political, restructuring, national and social security, devolution of power, etc. Fellow delegates, it is my prayer that we use the opportunity before us to talk about a new Nigeria, where our unification will be placed above all ethnic, traditional, and religious considerations. Let us use this conference to discuss, negotiate, and agree on issues that are of great value to not only our respective geopolitical zones, but to Nigeria as a nation, to our children and generations yet unborn. We must consciously identify the fine ingredients that can strengthen high productivity, social safety nets, as exemplified by the Nigerian Social Insurance Trust Fund, NSITF, mandate, and also shopping intervention, amongst others. Fellow delegates, the role of women and youths in nation building cannot be overemphasized. May I therefore further salute the courage of Mr. President for standing by his promise to Nigerian women in respect of the